Hello everyone, this is Boricua Binks and welcome back to Let's Play the Great Ace Attorney Chronicles, where we're continuing on in the 5th case of the game, the adventure of the unspeakable story, and we're continuing on in the trial. Alright, let's get this guy.
As I have reiterated numerous times now, you are mistaken. That was not me. I've never seen that disc before in my life.
It may have escaped your notice, but there's a small smear of blood on the disc.
Oh yes, resulting from an abrasion of the thumb, perhaps.
That's right. The surface of the disc is covered in hundreds of tiny metal bumps. In the skirmish to acquire the disc, the thumb of the person who tried to take it suffered minor lacerations. So, while the disc bears the remnants of that skirmish in the form of this smear of blood, the thumb of the person in question must bear the remnants also, in the form of a scratch.
He has so much physical evidence on him. Good gracious, indeed it must.
Mr. Graydon, you refused to allow a court officer to examine your arm before. Are you now going to refuse to allow us to examine your thumb? Because I have no doubt that it bears a small scratch consistent with the smear of blood on this disc.
Ugh. He's gonna say I could have gotten this scratch anywhere, you know? Well. It would seem I underestimated you. What is the meaning of this?
So you admit it now? You admit you have a scratch on your thumb from when you attempted to take the disc from the defendant.
Order! Well, Mr. Graydon, it would appear there has been something of a misunderstanding here. I did not attempt to take the disc, as you put it. No, quite the reverse.
What are you trying to say?
Oh, here we go. It's really quite simple, you see. The disc was mine from the outset. Is there some crime in taking an item that you own out of pawn?
What?
It would seem, Mr. Graydon, that in this piece of evidence my learned friend has established a link between yourself and the incident. Accordingly, you will tell the court everything you know about this disc now. As you wish. Though I'm quite sure it has nothing whatsoever to do with the pawnbroker's murder.
Liar. It has everything to do with it. I'm dying to know what's on there.
The disc. There's a note on the disc saying, "For McGilded," but the item belongs to me.
Oh, here we go. Here we go. We're gonna talk about McGilded finally.
The redemption ticket was stolen from me by the accused, that filthy gutterling, on the day in question. I proceeded at once to the shop in order to explain my situation and redeem my article. In the end, of course, the disc was taken by the police. In other words, I had absolutely no reason to break into the shop later that same night.
But you were looking for something else, and so I think he thinks that whatever it is was like dropped or was still somewhere in the shop, you know?
Did I hear you correctly, sir? McGilded, you say? The famous London philanthropist who perished in this very courtroom 2 months ago after being acquitted of a distinctly messy murder. Yes, my lord. The one and the same.
Good lord, Mr. Graded. Are you saying that Mr. McGilded and yourself were acquainted?
Yes, that's correct.
Here we go. I'm excited.
Order! Well, I certainly didn't expect to hear that name uttered here in my courtroom again. According to what Gina told us, this disc was placed in pawn on that fateful night 2 months ago. McGilded himself gave instructions to deposit it at Windibanks.
It's funny that Mr. Gryden here is claiming the disc belongs to him then, isn't it?
In all likelihood, he's lying. So he appeared that afternoon at Windibanks in order to get his hands on McGilded's disc for some reason. Counsel, you will commence your cross-examination, please.
But how did he know about the disc? What's going on?
Hold it!
Would you care to explain how this belongs to you?
As you will observe, a communications officer such as myself commands a fine salary.
You must. But I don't know, he's dressed super fancy compared to that lady in the juror, you know?
You are certainly exquisitely dressed, sir.
So you see, I have little need to make use of the services provided by the pawnbrokery trade. However, I did once find myself in difficulties having misplaced my purse whilst on an errand, which is why I pawned my fine black overcoat to the broker in question.
You claim that was your overcoat, even though it totally tore while you were wearing it.
Obviously, and in my haste I clean forgot that the music box disc was in its pocket. And yet there is a note on it that reads, "For McGilded." I am a collector of rare and unusual music box music. I first met Mr. McGilded at a gentleman's club in the city and was interested to discover that he shared my penchant in that area.
Uh-huh.
So the disc in question.
It's a pre-production sample. I promised to let Mr. McGilded hear it. But then you forgot that it was in the pocket of the overcoat you were forced to pawn. Yes, exactly.
Gina didn't mention any of that in her testimony 2 months ago, did she?
No, because McGilded had threatened her to keep her mouth shut. Which means that if we dig too deeply here, it's going to expose Gina's perjury.
Oh dear, this is complicated, isn't it?
I think we are gonna have to do that eventually, though. Come on.
Let's leave it alone for the time being.
Hold it!
So you're saying that Miss Lestrade lifted the ticket from your pocket or bag?
That's right, despite being mindful of danger when walking in the insalubrious areas her kind frequent.
Objection!
Miss Lestrade did no such thing.
Well, of course you would take that stance, but the girl is a regular offender.
You came to the pawnbrokery that day prepared with all the information you needed to identify the defendant. You were looking for her. That's what brought you to Windibanks. To get your hands on Mr. McGilded's disc.
Objection!
My learned friend is a veritable font of nonsense.
Nonsense. I concur with the prosecution.
Counsel, you will refrain from conjecturing in this way. Is that clear?
Yes, my lord.
Then I will continue with my testimony for what possible use it can be.
Okay.
Hold it!
Had you ever been to Windibanks before?
Only once, for the purposes of pawning something. But like many, I enjoy browsing in such establishments. So when you noticed that the pickpocket had taken your ticket, you chased after her. Is that correct? Yes, that's right. I didn't notice at first, of course. Such is the art of the pick purse. But when I did, I headed to the pawnbrokery at once, in order to reclaim my coat before the thief could. I was merely trying to recover what was rightfully mine in the first place.
He can say what he likes because he knows we have no evidence to contradict him on this.
Okay. Hey, here we go. We need to talk about this. Come on, Lestrade. Oh, not Lestrade. Sorry, Gregson. Woo! My brain.
Yes, it was taken by Inspector Gregson here, wasn't it?
That's right. This was the very man.
Oh, he's calling him out. The fact that, yes, you were there that day.
Apparently, the police are collecting anything that has a connection to Mr. McGilded as evidence.
Oh, really? Well, thanks for that information.
Excuse me!
Is something wrong, Inspector?
What do you mean?
How about the fact that you freaking lied earlier?
The last remark Mr. Graydon made in his testimony seemed to trouble you in some way.
No, he didn't. It's nothing. Leave it alone.
Let me ask you this, Inspector. Why is Scotland Yard gathering Mr. McGilded's possessions?
I can't tell you something like that, Sunshine.
What is it, Inspector? Investigative secrets.
Yes, exactly. You should know all about that. Magnus McGilded, who died so unexpectedly after his trial 2 months ago. A man renowned throughout the capital for his great contributions to public life, yet he had a dark side too. Where are you going with this, Fonseeks? I suppose the police are dealing with the aftermath of his nefarious activities, are they? That's enough. Coppers like me have duties to carry out that we're not at liberty to talk about. That's all you need to know. Duties conferred by Lord Strongheart, I presume. The Lord Chief Justice appears to have great faith in you, Inspector.
Putting him in the spot.
The bottom line is, if you want to get more out of me, you're gonna need Lord Strongheart's paw print first.
Dang.
What's all this about? It's like there's something going on between Gregson and Lord Von Zeeks here. Well, it would appear that the Inspector has revealed all he is at liberty to reveal. Mr. Graydon, let us return to your testimony.
Gladly, my lord.
Okay, I'm sure that was important. Well, let me just press.
Hold it!
But perhaps you'd seen something of value among the forfeited items.
No, not at all.
Oh,
A valuer was brought in by the police to assess everything in the shop. Without exception, every article on the shelves was common or garden bric-a-brac. Ugh, okay.
in that case, it's clear that you broke into the shop later that day in order to recover Mr. McGilded's disc.
But the police took it, so...
Have you not been listening, man? Even if I had wanted to recover the disc, you may recall that it had been seized by the police that afternoon. It was no more in the shop that night than I. As I keep saying, I simply had no reason to break in.
Yeah. Come on, there must be something.
So there was nothing of McGilded's left in the shop that night. Nothing this man might have been after. I wonder if that's really true.
Yeah, because he mentioned he was looking for something, right?
Bruno, if you have some evidence, then let him have it. I'm dying to see that irritatingly assured expression of his crumble.
Do we have evidence then?
McGilded slipped the disc into his coat pocket and had it deposited at Windibank's. Then, when he realized he was going to be arrested on suspicion of the omnibus murder, he threatened Gina and forced her to take the redemption ticket.
There's no doubt about it, that witness is lying through his pearly white teeth.
Police were obviously after anything left behind by McGilded as well. That's why Inspector Gregson ended up taking the disc into custody that day.
But Grexy's being very strange about all this.
There must be a reason for that, I'm sure. I just don't know what it is. For now, I need to focus on exposing the fact that Mr. Graydon is lying in his testimony.
Okay, so I need to look through the court record. Hold on. I think it's this last one. What do we got? What's this one? Which one is this one? I need to... This was the ticket?
Mr. Windibank appears to have used the back of this photograph to write out a redemption ticket.
Yeah! Yeah! That's it! Okay. So it's this box, right? The box that we don't know where it's at?
He's written it very neatly, but still, perhaps he ran out of paper, so he had to use anything he had to hand. It's hard to know what's the front and what's the reverse side now.
It has to be this. So, what happened to the box? It has to be this.
Objection!
This disc was deposited at Windibank's on Magnus McGilded's instructions. You knew that, and you went there with the intention of obtaining it for yourself.
Objection!
Conjecture again. And in any case, the disc was taken into custody by the police that afternoon. The witness had no reason to visit the pawnbrokery again that night.
Objection!
Sorry, my learned friend.
I like when we use the same lingo against him.
But that's not true.
What?
Mr. McGilded had another article in pawn at Windibank's, as this second pawnbroker's ticket proves.
Ugh.
Aha. There were two articles belonging to Mr. McGilded in Windibank's pawnbrokery, and the reason you broke into the shop that night was to recover the second one, together with your two accomplices, the Skulkin brothers.
Ugh.
This is the second ticket, is it?
What had the man deposited?
The article description reads, one small box.
A rather vague description, it seems to me. Are you suggesting that I broke into the pawnbrokery with these clowns in order to steal some trinket box.
I believe there are adequate grounds to suspect that you did.
This is absurd. Why on earth would I do such a thing? Once the article had been forfeited, I could simply walk into the shop and purchase it. There would be absolutely no need for me to resort to theft.
That's a good point. Indeed, the witness makes a solid argument.
So that means that for some reason, this Graydon fellow needed the small box that very night, does it?
Objection!
It's time to put an end to this nonsense, my lord.
Could you be a little less cryptic, Lord Von Zeeks?
I do hate to ruin my learned friend's argument, but the truth is quite incontrovertible. On the night in question, no small box was taken from Winterbank's pawnbrokery.
Yeah, he mentioned it was gone, right? So somebody else already got it? That's weird. I don't know. I don't know why my brain is thinking Sherlock. Why is my brain thinking that Sherlock somehow got ahead of everything and grabbed it? Because there's like this secret that he has with Susato, and I don't know.
And rest assured, the prosecution can prove it.
What? Good gracious.
Inspector, show the photographic prints to the court, if you please. Yes, sir.
What prints?
These prints were taken from one of the detective's security cameras.
Shirley's red-handed recorders again.
As previously explained, using this plan of the shop layout. The victim's establishment was furnished with automatic cameras in 2 locations. One was set to capture the counter where Mr. Winterbank received his customers, and the other was set to capture the shelves on which articles were placed for sale once forfeited. According to the information on this ticket, McGilded's small box had been forfeited already. 2 days before the incident at 9 p.m. on 13th of April to be precise. Which means it would have been on the shelves of forfeited items in the shop front. Now, what I have here is a print taken by one of the cameras about 2 hours before the incident. That's at 11 p.m. on April 15th.
Okay. These are due.
The victim certainly had a very full shop, it would appear.
And then we have another print.
2 a.m.
This one was taken about 2 hours after the incident.
I see. So we have two pictures to compare.
Oh, here we go with the stereoscope again. Something's gonna be different. I'm just taking a look without crossing my eyes, but trying to see if I see any differences.
Though I must say that placing them side by side leaves me cold. Dear me, that's starting to make my head ache.
Obviously, at Scotland Yard, we consider theft as one possible motive in this case. We explore the possibility that something had been taken in addition to the victim's life.
So your men have already compared these 2 prints thoroughly, Inspector?
Yes, sir. We counted every single item in each of these 2 photographic prints.
Huh.
And the odd's conclusion is that exactly the same number are present in both.
What if it was like hidden within something else? I mean, that'd be kind of weird, but
In other words, nothing was taken from the pawnbrokery on the night in question. And my learned friend's assertion is nothing more than a hopeful fantasy.
Ah! I don't believe it. If I could have just shown that he'd stolen McGilded's pawn box, I might have been able to break him down at last.
You know what, Reno? I've been thinking.
here we go.
I wonder if these 2 photographs really are exactly the same.
Yeah, I knew we were gonna have to do this again.
What? So, counsel, in the light of the evidence put forward by the prosecution, what is your position? It seems that in fact on the night in question nothing was stolen from the victim's establishment. Do you accept the prosecution's assertion?
No way.
I don't know. Could there be some hidden discrepancy in these 2 photographic prints somewhere?
It's either 2 or 3. I don't see it, so I'd rather use a piece of evidence to help me find it. And I already know what it's gonna be.
Before I give my answer, my lord, I'd like to try something if I may.
Try something? What do you mean, counsel?
I'll need to use a certain piece of evidence from the car record to identify the discrepancy.
Yep.
I'm not entirely sure I follow. Which piece of evidence do you intend to use to help you identify a discrepancy between the 2 prints?
The stereoscope.
Take that!
I'd like to use this device, my lord, to view the 2 prints stereoscopically.
Woo! I knew he was gonna get excited. Oh my gosh. Yes! You've got the bug at last. You can't resist it, can you? You've got the cross-eyed compulsion.
Whatever.
Juror number 3. What a surprise.
Come on, Reno. Let's put the pictures in place and see what this wonderful contraption shows us.
Yeah.
There we go. Now look through the eyepiece.
Oh, it already shows it for us. Yay!
I wasn't sure at first, but there's a clear discrepancy between these 2 prints.
What? You must identify the location in question for the court, counsel.
It's so easy.
Indicate the precise location of the discrepancy of which you speak.
Yes, it's so difficult.
Take that!
Love it.
Granted, these 2 prints are almost identical. However, there is one minor discrepancy between them.
I mean, when I looked at them with my bare eyes, I didn't see that at all. So, whatever.
What?
When you view the 2 pictures stereoscopically,
So it moved slightly?
a single area stands out as being different. The location of this small box.
So all he had to do was open the box and get whatever was in it, right? It's not the box itself he wanted.
Let me. Wait. Unbelievable.
He's tried it. It looks so funny.
By Jove, you're right. How extraordinary.
What this tells us is very simple. Mr. McGilded's small box was indeed not stolen from Windibanks on the night in question. However, there can be no doubt. that somebody picked up this particular box and then returned it to its place on the shelves.
Are you suggesting that the small box originally deposited by Mr. McGilded is in fact...
Yes, the very same small box I just identified in those photographic prints.
Objection!
He's so angry.
Drama queen. Mindless guesswork. What if it was? So box was moved on the shelf. Nothing was stolen. Which means quite simply that nothing has changed.
That may be true, but... Alright, McGilded's box wasn't stolen then. But doesn't the fact that it was moved like that change things?
Changes everything, bro.
I believe this changes everything about the case.
How can that possibly be? How can that possibly be?
The crucial point is the fact that what was moved was a small box. In other words, we have to consider what might have been inside that box.
Yes.
What are you suggesting?
Oh, he cracks me up. Uh-huh.
I'm suggesting that we need to examine that box as soon as possible. A vital piece of evidence is sitting on the shelves at Windibanks as we speak.
Objection!
That won't be necessary. Some little box belonging to a man who died 2 months ago can't possibly be relevant to this trial.
Come on.
Yeah!
The court does not uphold your objection, Lord Von Zieks.
Yeah, you go, Judge.
Bailiff, arrange for an officer to go to Baker Street at once. Obtain the small box in question and bring it back here for further examination.
Yes. Is this it to be continued? Damn, this is tense. What's in the box? What was in the box, I guess? How big is it? Like, is it enough for another disc, or? Alright, well, I think this is a perfect place to leave it. I'm not sure if there's a to be continued coming up or whatever, but it just feels good to just leave it here. So, anyway, yeah. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you're enjoying this. I am hooked. All I want to do is keep recording, but I can't, so oh well. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you're enjoying this. And until next time, have a nice day. Bye.